So how do you preach to your athletes, your trainers? Are you talking additional sleep? Or are you talking, are you collective, holistic health?
Yes. So I took the model of healing athletes, these really high performers and high level military team guys, whatever it is, and we applied it to normal people.
Okay. So you're talking high military. You mentioned M6?
Team 6.
Team 6.
SEAL Team 6, yeah.
SEAL Team 6.
Yes.
Which what?
Right.
That's why.
And I'm allowed to say that, which is cool because...
Right. They'd probably be like, karate chop the door down. M6,
exactly.
ma'am.
What did you say?
Right, exactly.
Let go. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Counting on my ways, so I can't play it safe. Players trying to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look.
Welcome back to another episode of Sportsing. The show where we dive into the heart of competition, the culture behind the athletes, and the stories that rarely make the highlights.
Yeah.
Today, we're stepping into the world of fighting, MMA, UFC, all the cage, all the things. I'm not a fan, of big fighting.
Oof, I can't really do MMA.
I can't do it. Enough with the... Okay.
It's too gruesome for me.
It is. It's so brutal. I'm like, don't hit him. It's just terrible. Anyway, but today we are diving into, the world of fighting. To our next guest, Ian McCall, he is known for being raw, underground, and one of probably the biggest fighters that shaped MMA before it became mainstream.
For sure. He's from South Orange County. He's had quite a while past, a sharp wit, but he gives a very unique perspective on his experience, both as an MMA fighter and then what life has been like post.
Yes, absolutely. We're talking none other than Ian, Uncle Creepy, right? Uncle Creepy McCall. From the gritty gyms of OC to the bright lights of UFC, he has seen it all.
Yes. And so we'll be talking to him about what the culture was like in Orange County. I didn't actually know that it was such a breeding ground for MMA. So it's really cool to kind of hear that perspective, what it was like stepping into the league and how he is using psychedelics to help heal and reshape him post-career.
I know, which is crazy. Ian's journey after MMA is just as fascinating as his career, as you will soon find out. In the cage, we'll dig into his new path of healing, self-discovery, and what he's doing today to help others transform their lives. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
We're super excited to have you. It's such an interesting perspective you have. I mean, we've, this idea of going, MMA fighter, UFC, understanding your story, why fighting. And then obviously your journey into psychedelics has become such a prominent portion of your life now, trauma research. I mean, you are literally 18 different things happening, and it's all blended into this amazing opportunity, which is, again, to educate people about, especially head trauma, and then, how they could be, heal from within through psychedelics and not through medicine, or not having to live this type of paralyzed life that a lot of head trauma ends up, leaving you with. So tell us a little bit, how did you get into fighting? Where did that come from?
Martial arts, trauma makes you fight. Trauma makes you want to achieve these things. That's the fire lit under your butt. To be great, to want to be the best in the world at something is a weird pursuit. Especially if, I was once the pound for pound most dangerous person on the planet. That's a wild pursuit.
That is.
But that's also, I was obsessed with martial arts. I'm not good at school. I'm lucky I'm good at science. I'm good at violence. That's my art.
Wow.
And I asked my dad a while back. I'm like, why did I pick martial arts? And and he's like, because you were fighting everybody. I was born premature, so I was tiny. Someone would mouth off at whatever private school I was in, and they'd get a fistful. I'm not here to fuck around. You make fun of me, we'll get after it.
Right.
At least that's how I was as a kid, because I had older brothers and I had something to prove.
Are you the youngest?
Yeah, I'm the baby.
Oh, they're the baby.
The baby,
I feel you.
And the trauma was the traumatic birthing process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you look up Stanislav Grof, it's exactly that. And I was in an incubator for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get to all that later. But that was my outlet, so I just kind of became from the sickly kid to a prodigy and was really good at fighting. I could beat up grown men when I was like 15 and like train grown men. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just because it was unfair. I'm like extremely talented. But that drove me to weird heights in life and the superstardom sort of thing. When I retired, I was addicted. I threw all that away for drugs, by the way. Drugs and addictions to women or whatever it was.
You threw away your career, your fighting
all
career.
Of it. Businesses I had, relationships, marriage. It was all out. It was just a mess.
Sure.
Ruined my life for sure. But I used that opportunity instead of, killing myself, like I had kind of planned on doing, was to be better. My daughter had healed, we had healed her when she was, started when she got sick at 2 years old. So I understood how to heal the human body. I use my selfish pursuit and science of human performance because I wanted to stay the best in the world. So I'm going to do everything I could within the rules to kind of cheat without cheating. Use all these things people don't know about. Hyperbaric chambers or what have you. This now they're everyone knows, but this was a long time ago. And I turned that understanding on myself, added in a few new molecules like psilocybin or ayahuasca or what have you, LSD, and I healed myself. And then I realized the position I was in, and I realized that doctors and scientists, because I have a lot of friends in those spaces, they couldn't talk about what they were doing. They would lose their tenure, they would lose their degrees or whatever people were going to take from their jobs, security in life.
Like the secrets they had, like
no,
or like
psychedelics
the education.
they're still illegal, but they were very, very taboo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even before like the pandemic, for instance.
Yeah.
I got the UFC to agree to, or at least go to the table studying mushrooms for athletes in 2019.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for a while.
Do you feel like where you are from, like Southern California, Orange County, or OC has had an impact on your development as a fighter, or like the sport in general?
That is hollowed ground. That is the mecca for MMA.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is the nicest place on the planet. And everyone wants to come here where it's safe. Yes, it's expensive, but you can charge clients a ton of money. Everyone will pay it because everyone has it. And we breed really tough people. We always have, It's been a melting pot of sorts. It's become that more or less. But it was just a lot of tough people took pride in being tough. The surf culture, was a big part of it. And out of my friends, we all trained. Multiple of us, Shane, my best friend, and I, rest in peace, he gained a world title in kickboxing. I had MMA. We had another handful of friends fight on TV. So we were extremely tough. And it was a cool little, breeding ground for that. And luckily, this culture here, these people, these free thinking, behind the orange curtain is what I like to say.
Oh, that's cute.
A bunch of well-armed Republicans who just want a safe place to heal and to be healthy and to whether all the vanities are or not. Like I think people have kind of started to get away from that. Really think about just healing and being present and being with their kids and. It's been a cool place. I'm very lucky my parents moved us there and we've been there our whole lives,
Yeah.
And these people, I'm a local legend. They trust me, which is cool. Yeah.
So before you got to, and obviously we're going to talk a lot in what you're doing now and kind of how you're championing behind the psychedelic healing. But when you were in the peak of your training in MMA, what did that look like for you, and how did that kind of get you to where you ultimately got to and deciding to, post MMA, like as the drugs and all the things started to hit the fan? Prior to that, like what was your training looking like? What was life looking like?
A hermitage of sorts.
Yeah.
You're kind of a loner. You have your friends you see every day, your coaches, the people you love.
Yeah.
You have your family to go home to, but that's kind of hard sometimes to go back and forth.
Were you like 3 a days? Were you like...
it was mainly 2 a day.
Okay.
But with recovery in between.
Okay.
The middle of the day was to eat while I'm getting PT, or to go sit in the CVAC machine or HBOT, or to just get whatever therapies I needed. Like, and not fun therapies, the hot, the cold, like getting I got two like 300-pound masseuses sitting there fixing, getting super deep. Because I had, 7 surgeries on this arm. I tore my hip and my groin. I had a lot of injuries in the UFC.
Yeah.
So I was constantly being worked on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I the obsession though, this is my art. This is the thing that I'm best at, and I want to stay on top. And sure, there was times where I lacked, I slacked, I did, but I think it was more because of addiction than anything else.
When did you know you were like a prodigy? Like when did your talents kind of speak to you in that way?
When I really hit MMA hard.
Yeah.
Because I had Kung Fu in my back pocket. That was the love of my life. Bruce Lee was like my first philosophy teacher.
Nice. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The only books that I read were books about him. And I think it was probably about like 15.
Okay. Were you told or did you feel it? Like, did you know?
I just knew.
Okay.
Because I was beating up grown men who knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And just, pardon my language, but molesting these grown men. Just like having my way with them, picking them up and slam 200-pound guys. And they're just like, what the fuck is this kid doing? They wanted me to fight professionally at 16.
Okay.
And we just kind of were like, no, it's too young.
Can you do that in fighting? Like,
on reservations, you can.
Okay.
If your parents sign your life away, yes. But they weren't ready to do that.
Okay.
And I don't think I wasn't ready either.
Okay.
But my first fight, I became ranked. I have to look it up. I don't even know if it's still there. But Shudo rankings, top 25 or top 15, I made like 14th, I think it was,
Nice.
in the world or somewhere like that. And as a kid, this is my nerdy, thing. I was like, whoa, I'm one of the best in the world. This is true. So, after that, it was still a hobby, but an obsession because it wasn't the sport it is today.
Right. I mean, it was really raw, kind of like still a little like underground in comparison
we were looked at like
to
porn stars.
You said porn star.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It was the same sort of thing.
Right.
Right. It was like,
everyone knew, but don't talk. Yeah. You don't talk
like,
about
we're all
it.
watching it, but I'm not going to tell you I'm watching it.
And my family, and they watched it all, of course. And I'm not saying they didn't support me, but they weren't happy. They're wealthy white folk, and they weren't stoked on this. Like I was telling you, my great whatever grandfather, I don't know how many greats, was president of the U.S. And this wasn't the sort of behavior that I should have been in school. Like, how was your credit? Like, how or what?
Right.
What?
Those sort of things. What sort of business are you building? Like, how is this? And so it wasn't. My grandfather was not happy, but I just like I said with everything else in my life, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I swam upstream.
Did you used to beat up your brothers?
No. I mean, there might have been a few sparring sessions where I got the best of my brothers growing up. My oldest brother's 15 years older.
Okay.
And a street fighter, but still so fast. It's wild. It's just crazy how quick he is. Like, he's still faster than me, and he's like 200-something pounds.
Yeah.
And then my middle brother, Brad, he went pro at 18. I was 15.
Okay.
And he was, again, I'm tiny for my family. So he's 250 pounds right now, and he needs to lose some weight. Or
Brad.
Right,
exactly.
But we'll get there later. He's trying. But he's a heavy kickboxer. So it was never easy. I don't know if it ever happened. But they were always there to support me and to beat the shit out of me when I needed it. and or in the gym. Like, this is, you're getting ready for a fight.
Let's get to it.
Right.
Like this is what we do. Like, this is not going to be over quickly. You're not going to enjoy this, but this is what you need to get better. Because I
okay, Gladiator.
You got that one. The older people took me under their wing and were like, you're the kid. You're going to be a world champion one day.
Okay.
That's dope.
And this is what you need to do. So bite down, put your chin down, and let's get after it. Yeah.
Do you have a most memorable fight throughout your career that you're like, that I remember this one and kind of what was happening and how it ended, all the things?
Yeah, win or loss. Like, was there something in particular?
The one that sticks out, obviously, is not the happiest moment of my life because I got kind of screwed. It's up for debate, but they said I lost in my first UFC fight.
Oh, shoot.
This is when I lost really the #1 spot to Demetrius Johnson. And I was sober to that point, and I had my shit together, and I used it as an excuse to go and, start doing Octagon again. but they ended up calling it a draw, and it just lost my way right then and there. So there's that one, which is not the best feeling in the world. Sure. I think for a win, it was in Ireland against Brad Pickett, and this was, again, sober, on my way, and I beat the bark off this dude. I have an Irish name; it's Gaelic, but I'm not Irish. But I play that up to the Irish fans because I was fighting an Englishman, and I made them hate this guy. And I'm sorry, Brad. He's an amazing person. He's actually going to be part of my study soon. I owe it to him for sure because I hit him a lot. Yeah. He hit me like once really hard, but he asked me after. He's like, "Did I even hit you?" And I was like, "You got one."
Did I even hit
really
you?
Hard. Yeah.
Did I show up? Was I there? I don't know. Where am I?
It was a master class, and this guy beat Demetrius Johnson, and I had my way with him. So it was a beautiful moment. And the Irish fans are the greatest fans on the planet. Nice. So thank you for that, guys. Because it was wild.
I mean, my last name is O'Keefe, so I too sometimes pose as Irish.
Yeah, it's not only is it a beautiful country, but a beautiful people. Everyone knows the history, and 8,000 fans. Conor McGregor was fighting, of course. We're louder than any other. I've been in front of 40,000 fans in Japan, or numbers a little smaller than that in the UFC in Vegas or whatever. This was, even the Brazilians don't hold a candle to the Irish. The Brazilians want to watch you die. They chant, "You're going to die" in Portuguese.
Like, please die.
And no fala Portuguese, but it's vamos there.
You are. Yeah, you are going to die.
And so you walk out and you're flipping on the bird, and you're like, "I don't care, give it to me." But the Irish are they're just.
Did you have like an entrance, were you like, did you have the music blare? Like, what was your,
So
what was your vibe? Like,
my friends in the band Avenged Sevenfold, I've known them before I was famous. I've known them for a very long time, since I was a teenager. And they're one of the biggest metal bands ever of all time. And they would say, "Hey, our new album, our new song's coming out. Play this one, and we'll put you on our social media." And they'd have like 16 million followers on Facebook, sort of thing. So the revenue that I would get from that, on my shirt sales, was wild. That's awesome. Yeah. So whatever, and I used to listen to a lot of metal. As an angry youth. But it was more business than anything. I didn't have a song. Like, if I ever fought now, I would come out to like Gregorian chants. Like, like I have this thing I listen to every day as a good Catholic. It's chants in Aramaic, like the Our Father or what have you. So it's like I see all the Muslims doing it, and I'm like, I would have done that. So it was a wild ride.
Yeah.
So as you came out of MMA, dealing with drugs and all that, the mental health impact of it all, what have you kind of noticed about what that has been like, and how have you worked within yourself to get to where you are now to kind of combat everything?
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
I was a crazy person. I was telling her I was trying to kill someone for a job. I laugh at it, but like that was kind of what I wanted to do, or what I was trying to do, because I wanted to be the feared person.
Is that what drove you? Fear? Like you wanted people to fear you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the best in the world at fighting. I wanted everyone to fear me. And I had an outlet, so it wasn't like I was abusive to anyone else in my life, really. Like I was crazy, but like that was where I had the character.
Yeah.
I've always been a good human, a good person, trying to be the best father I can, even though I struggle with that sometimes. We all do. I was like, well, it's just what it is. My daughter keeps me honest. Same with my ex-wife. Thank you for that. But when I healed my TBI, like I found myself in that position. I was spiritually bankrupt, emotionally void. I was just like, just happy.
What's TBI?
Traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
Or CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Brain damage. And I kind of sat back and I was like, okay, now how do I learn to be an adult? How do I learn to just be a normal human? My mom's like, the fantasy's over. Okay. Like no one's celebrating when you go everywhere. Like just be a normal person, be a good dad, be a good human. And I was, but I didn't know how to interface. So it was about, and at that time I wasn't back in the church. I hated God. I hated it. I was just like, this is not for me. So I studied every other religion I could. I studied psychology. I had amazing coaches and therapists and, people in my life, friends, all those really, really smart people that were around me, some of the greatest minds in psychedelics, from the old, from the new, helped me through myself, helped me figure it out. And now, you know, I'm in a place where I can teach these things because I've read all the books and I've done all the research, and I've been through it all. I've made every single mistake, even in psychedelics. I've made all the blatant bad ones, you know, and I talk about it because it's like, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's how you learn, that's how you grow.
Is there something like, was there a time in your career though that you felt like I need help? That you felt some sort of, you know, brain trauma. What was that kind of like clicked for you, that you were like, yeah, if I continue to fight, like I'm going to fight my way into dying, you know, killing myself, literally.
Yes, there was a point where I just went, oh, I'm missing exits. The UFC was, you know, driving. I was forgetting everything. I was so addicted because I had all these surgeries. So I had a huge influx of Oxycontin, which turned into heroin and fentanyl and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I was so bad off. The UFC was paying thousands of dollars a month to help my brain with like traumatic or transcranial magnetic stimulation, which has shown amazing results. For me, it made me almost kill myself. Like, never been that depressed in my life. Wow. It was wild. I'd end up on the floor in fetal position, like bawling my eyes out for hours a day. Stuck a gun in my mouth. I don't know how many times. Like, I, you know, was just a nightmare. And, you know, I don't remember any certain punch. Maybe when John Lineker hit me a few times. But I just thought of that one. Like, there's no moment like that where I got knocked out where I thought about it. You know, it was just this accumulation. I always had a heavy chin. I remember Joe Rogan told me, like, I didn't like watching him hit you. That's when I wasn't high when I went into the bout, but I was detoxing. And it sucked, you know, but like, again, I don't think he did it. I can't blame it on anyone. It was the accumulation of just training my butt off for years. And I also had a major traumatic brain injury in high school where I hit my head snowboarding. I was in the hospital for a couple of days. Oh, wow. I don't know how many concussions growing up doing dumb things. So, yeah, I was just in such a bad place that a big DMT trip actually is what spurred me into, I was smoking DMT on my couch with my brother looking for answers. And he's been extracting DMT for almost over 15 years now. And served me medicine. And it was like, okay, time to retire. Time to grow up, Peter Pan. This is over. Yeah. So I had a few more fights. I made the bad mistake of going to Japan. I shouldn't say the bad mistake. It was, I would have just had a longer life in the UFC, but my career was so tarnished there that I felt like I had to move on and go to Japan. Japan was really famous in Japan. Gotcha. And it was just more than that. It was the love, the fame thing I was always weird about, but it was the love they have for you there. Was just so cool. And greener pastures too. I was making money in cash, which was great. I can add international, you know, currency smuggling to my name, I guess. Because they pay you in like the most crisp Yakuza $100 gangster bills, and you got to pack them in everyone's bags. Here's 10 for you, 10 for you, 20 for you. Let's go home.
Let's go.
Yeah, so let's buy a few bottles of whiskey, you know, 25-year Hibiki whiskey or whatever.
The best whiskey in the world.
Oh my God, it was so good. Back when I used to drink, that was probably my favorite alcohol ever. And yeah, you know, it was a wild ride, and it finally ended in Japan, getting knocked out. Actually, tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. It was 7 years ago, on my birthday, in front of 40,000 people. I got knocked out. Oh wow! And I wasn't completely out. No, I got one punched though. I came into the bout very concussed from a sparring match. This guy Joe and somebody else beat the hell out of me. I wasn't ready for I wasn't ready, and whatever. It's what happens in sparring. And so he one punched me. I got up and I shot on the ref. I had his legs and he just pulled me up and I was like, I'm fine. And I Bambi-laid across the ring. And I walked in the back and looked at my coaches and I was like, we're done, right? That's it. It's over.
This is it?
This is like, I can't. Like I can't. And if the ref would have let me continue.
You would have.
Oh no, this killer that I was in the ring with, maybe one day in the past, I could have beaten, or I we would have. He's one of the greatest Japanese fighters of all time. Horiguchi, and he would have finished me.
Yeah.
He had dynamite in his hands.
Yeah.
So he would have made my concussion way
would
worse.
have taken it to
So,
a whole
yeah.
another.
That was
another
good for
level.
me. It was a cash grab. I got out and I went home on my shield, like a good Greek, and
That was that.
and I that was that. Yeah, I had to. That was the stopping point, and I tried to figure it out after that.
Looking back, what do you wish that younger fighters, and I'll even broaden it a little bit, because when I hear you talk, I even think about, football and other very hardcore collision course contact sports where especially parents are debating whether or not they want to let their kids get into these type of sports, which they do. So from this perspective, bird's eye looking back, what are things that you wish that kids, parents better understood about how to be better about protecting your health, if there is even a
way to
way to protect your health being in such volatile, violent sports?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
There's ways. Giving children psychedelics, giving as an adult is still illegal, but as kids, there's much more repercussions, of course. Even though people in mass are doing it,
Sure.
They are young as little children are getting microdosed because it works. It's not affecting children in any negative way. There's no mechanism in the brain or the body that's negatively affected by psychedelics. It's all positive things being produced, and the dropping of trauma. So, on the legal side, you can give your kids turmeric, you can give them lion's mane mushrooms, you can give them CBD, all these things that are legal that will protect their brain. It'll heal their brain, but also lead to better performance. The psychedelics will have the flow state. You're not going to get that with normal over-the-counter things. But at least you're protecting it, and you're unencumbering the body of inflammation. So the connectivity is better, the body flows, and you can see better performances for sure. My daughter plays club volleyball.
Okay.
And I'm preaching to all the parents. I'm like, you got to give them things. I'm like, not the bad.
Yeah, like
not the illegal stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even though I see some of them ears perking up, like, wait, is that like my kid going to be a super athlete? Yeah.
Right.
And again, I know people are doing it to their kids.
Have they been pretty receptive as you've been talking to other parents? How's that been
the
going?
parents.
Yeah, they are. They're into it because their kids are working their butts off.
Sure.
And we're paying thousands of dollars a season for club
something.
sports.
Yeah,
It's so,
crazy.
So
It is.
expensive.
It's so expensive.
And why not add in some supplements? Why not give them? And the parents should be taking them too.
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing.
It's just health in general.
Yeah, where we live is an incredibly healthy, fit environment.
Yeah.
So people are in mass are doing biohacking things. Even methylene blue. Whether it's like certain types of caffeine or whatever the supplements are, they work. BCAAs, creatine is like one of the most. Creatine is actually what really helped fix my depression.
Oh, really? Yeah. I just got my boys on creatine. I just started taking creatine.
You can take a lot of creatine.
Yeah,
too.
it's interesting because I think traditionally most women don't think that creatine, creatine had such a connection to like bodybuilding,
Yes.
and so I think women in general thought creatine meant like big, bulky, but I didn't realize how beneficial it is for us because we stopped producing it at a much younger age than men do.
Yeah, and supple is the perfect word for what it does to your muscles. It fills them with water, helps muscle growth, helps cognitive function. But if you want that full round look, and supplements for so long were poisonous or tainted in one way, shape, or form. There's so many good companies out there. The whole industry has changed because it's so lucrative, and you make a bad product, people are going to tell each other. There's review systems on everything. So the industry has taken a big turn, but now with like creatine is such an easily accessible supplement, and you can't overdo it. You can take like 20 grams a day,
Right, without
Of creatine?
of creatine, where usually they say
Crazy.
5, and it's
Yeah.
like you can do 20 grams all day long. I know people that do 30 to 40,
Yeah.
Really?
but it's humans taking a lot of anything.
Sure.
10 to 20 seems to be a good range. Your gut might have to adjust to it a little bit,
Okay.
but if it's a good product, I don't think it should affect you too
And that's
much.
coupled in with being active and all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it helps you work out and recover, you're stronger, you're bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
With it. So it's one of the first supplements I tell people to take.
Yeah. Biohacking has become such a kind of a trendy word, today. You got the NADs, creatine, collagen, all of this different, how do you feel about the industry, the industry's way of kind of pushing these things on, athletes, whether right or wrong? Where are you at?
It's all right.
Okay.
That's the thing where we are. It just goes to their testing protocols. The UFC is so stringent on testing with drug-free sport. And that's also kind of why I know all this stuff, is because I wanted to know what they tested for and what they didn't. I was the one that brought the fact that they didn't test for psilocybin or LSD to the table. And Jeff Nowitzki was like, what? Really? He's like, what, should we? I was like, hear me out. Hear me out. I got Johns Hopkins on the phone. No, you shouldn't. This is why. But with that's my nonprofit is Athlete's Journey Home.
Okay.
My for-profit is the McCall method, which I just took off the shelf over the last year to sell peptides, to sell basically a monthly concierge box to help wealthy individuals, of course, because this is anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 a month or whatever it is.
Of supplements?
Of supplements, of genetic testing. So Merrick Health is doing our testing. Okay. And everything is for research purposes only, of course. But
that smile says otherwise.
Yes,
I love it.
I avoid the modern medicine model.
Okay.
And if it's for research purposes only, I don't need a doctor. But I do work with Merrick Health for testing. I have doctors on call if we need them.
Sure.
But these people are taking it into their own hands. So I don't get the information Merrick has because obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician. So what do you need in your life? What makes your life better? Is it the copper peptide GHK? Is it BPC? Is it NAD? Is it what have you? There's so many things. Follistatin, 4X. I mean, the list goes on. There's over 200 or 350,000 peptides in the human body, and we're only working with a couple handfuls, I guess.
Yeah. So how do you preach to your athletes, your trainers? Are you talking additional sleep? Or are you talking, are you
sleep is
collective, holistic health?
Yes. So I took the model of healing athletes, these really high performers and high level military team guys, whatever it is, and we apply it to normal people.
Okay. So you're talking high military. You mentioned M6?
Team 6.
Team 6.
SEAL Team 6, yeah.
SEAL Team 6.
Yes.
What?
Right.
That's why.
And I'm allowed to say that, which is cool because...
Right. They'd probably be like, karate chop the door down.
Right,
M6,
exactly.
What did you say?
Right, exactly.
Well, my mentor ran SEAL Team 6 for 20 years. So with E9, chief captain of Team 6, he's like, you can say it. I was like, yes, rad. Okay. Because I'm not bragging. This is just who I work with. These are the people that I take care of with pride. And we apply that understanding because what I have with them, with everyday people, supplementation is one thing. But I call it stabilized flow, or my mental coach, Lindsay Briner, calls it stabilized flow. She's out of the Bay Area. She's a neuroscientist, works with a bunch of billionaires. If you need a good scientist type coach, Lindsay Briner is a savage. She is incredible, and she's a dear friend of mine, so I love you. Thank you for helping me fix my life. But I get up every morning, and I tell people, you need to have your own structure in the morning. Mine's right out of bed, breathwork meditation. The breathwork leads into prayer and gratitude and forgiveness, and then it leads off into meditation somewhere. That's just I'm able to go blank at this point because I've been doing it for a while. Then from there, I get up, do grounding, some sunlight, wake my girlfriend up with a kiss, take the dog out for a walk.
I love that.
And I have ducks and geese and fish out in this little pond out where I live. So I feed them and turtles and all kinds of stuff. So I just get right.
Okay.
Takes half an hour, maybe a little more.
All that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty quick. It's nothing
I
crazy.
know, legit. I'm thinking, you're like 2 hours into your day at this point.
I get up early to do it.
Okay. What time is early?
6. Nothing crazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, now we're talking. People are like 4 a.m. You got to be up. I'm like,
I teach until like 8:30 every night.
Yeah.
So I get home, I eat. Luckily, my girlfriend's amazing. She cooks amazing food. So I get home, I eat, and I go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my peak experience was flow state, climbing into a cage in my underwear to fight people for blood money in front of all these people. That's flow for me. And Lindsay was like, "That's not sustainable, silly. It's never going to happen again, right?
Be right.
We're not doing that ever again?
Exactly.
Let's be for real.
So let's just figure out stabilized, calm flow." And then through the meditation, it's the general's tent where I kind of go through my day. I had to retrain myself to remember things and to really program my day. Like, what do I have to do today? And it's the basics in the morning. It's eat, peptides, whatever it is, get ready for yoga, get ready for this. And, I'll field some calls, whatever, emails, Zoom, whatever it is in the morning. I'm usually in the gym by like 10 to get some sort of workout, yoga, bag work, lifting weights, whatever it is. I do a lot of business in the sauna. So, there's a lot of, it's a very high dollar gym, Lifetime Fitness in South Orange County. So I talk to a lot of clients in there.
Sure. Yeah.
And, from there, I get home, I again, Zoom, talk to my team in UK or whatever I need to do, cause, I've got people all over the world that I work with.
Yeah.
So.
If you're somebody who doesn't understand this life, right? You don't understand how psychedelics work or any of that. You hear it and you're just thinking drugs and addiction and all that, right? And the stuff that is taking you on the trip more than the healing, right? Yeah. How do you explain, or what's the kind of the basic way to kind of explain to the audience so that they understand the difference between it? Because if I'm somebody who's struggling with addiction, let's just say, right? Do I want to even venture into this? You know what I mean? Like, can this be harmful in the same way that it would if I did a hardcore drug? All that type of stuff. How do you kind of break it down to make it digestible for people who are curious or interested?
Michael Pollan's documentary or book, How to Change Your Mind. He's changed cultures with his writings. Sure. It's great. That's great. Louis Schwartzberg's movie, Fantastic Fungi. It touches on mushrooms as a whole, not just psychedelics, but how it's the largest living organism, how it sequesters carbon and toxic materials, and it's going to heal the world, save the planet for sure. You got to go watch other people talk about it, or the people that I work with, all the athletes. You sit with trusted people, and those don't always have to be doctors or scientists. Most of us are not. I'm a scientific researcher, but I've got a bunch of doctors and PhDs that work for me or with me. I shouldn't say for me because they all work for free. I think I've sent out 2 checks so far because money goes to research. Everyone just believes in this. Yeah. And you go through the podcast, Rogan's podcast. There's Sam Harris. There's so many. Dr. Huberman, Andrew Huberman. Is he even a doctor? Andrew Huberman is not a doctor. So you have these great minds talking about it, and now it's come to the forefront of everything, of all of our understandings of how to heal. So there's a lot of flavors to take in, and you just have to go down the rabbit hole of it, and you'll find it. Because then you run into the veterans, the athletes. Moms on Mushrooms is a great following. It's like one of the biggest in the country. Or Autism on Acid, it's a big one. You just got to figure out, or you just type in, I have this issue, psychedelics for. And you can find a lot of research.
Do you find that today's medicine, more Western medicine, is more, I guess, welcoming or interested in taking on psychedelics as a part of their practices? No, there's still a heavy divide. The
industry is against it because we're going to put them to bed, just much like peptides, where you guys are all out of a job. Yeah. For the most part, and they're going to have to completely rewrite what they're doing. Because their model is something that was pushed on us by the Rockefellers, if you know anything about, if you're a conspiracy theorist like I am. And he paid off colleges, and it was all because of petroleum. And it's a petroleum-based model. Petroleum is not good for us. Yes, this might fix this issue for a day, but you might want to kill yourself. You might have dry eye, anal leakage, some crazy shit. You're like, what?
The side effects when it's like, you don't have a headache, take the Luxoxyhydrin. Side effects, eye loss, death, stomach issues, bleeding, amputation. You're like, I'm just going to try Excedrin.
And even crazy. That, Advil, Tylenol, it'll upset your one Advil will upset your system for a month. Yeah. Or longer.
I just got to sleep.
Yeah, you take natural stuff. Take some psilocin.
Vicks is our thing.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a black person, so really ginger ale.
I get both. I'm like,
Yeah. So they're fighting it, even though all the top people are coming out and saying they're doing it. If you're a doctor and you're against this, shame on you.
Do you think that sports are like leagues and different things like that will see their way to accepting more of the psychedelics into the recovery process for their athletes?
If they don't know about it, well,
not to say that it's not happening,
Yes.
but in terms of it being
like a mass.
Yes.
Allowed,
I brought psychedelics to the UFC in 2019.
Sure.
They turned it down. I ended up on HBO with Dean Lister. HBO Real Sports. We had an Emmy Award-winning producer, Jordan Kronick. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I sent that to Dana White, and Dana was one of the first 3 people to text me back in my life.
Wow.
Over family, friends, over everybody. And he was like, I'm proud of you. Good job.
Yeah.
So we went back to the table. That study fell through because of politics, because realistically, Johns Hopkins is difficult, and so is the UFC. And it was a thing about addiction and PTSD, and the UFC doesn't want to study that. So,
or they don't want anybody to know.
They didn't want to have to deal with that. I understand. It's not a good look. So a year or so later, University of Miami, Megan Blaya and Dr. Hoffer hit me up and like, hey, we want to custom tailor whatever they need, TBI. So we went back to the drawing board. Jeff Nowitzki, once I set the meeting when they were in Miami, Jeff called me and was like, this is the greatest thing you've ever done. Dope. Ian, I'm so proud of you. He sat by my hospital bedside in multiple countries. So he's an amazing person. And that study fell through because of funding. So I said, mushrooms grows out of cow shit in every field in America. I'm going to move on. So I moved on to ayahuasca. I mean, I'm back at mushrooms now, but the UFC within the last year said, look, we can't work with you anymore. We went public and they can't make any moves. No one can make moves because we're going in front of the NFLPA, the NHLPA. We're talking to all these people. Yeah. They're listening now and they're not denying it. They're like, okay, cool. Yeah. Because they know people are doing it.
Yeah. Anyway,
I provide medicine for a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
And all over the world, all over the sports, I should say. And nothing's being sent internationally. I don't want to preface with that. But it's working, and they're not going to be able to make a move until legislation changes.
Yeah. Right. I know we're handcuffed.
Yeah. Right. That's how the world works. They're private or they're public companies. Even if they're private, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but still,
they can't make the move. It's billions of dollars. They don't want to, get any trouble. Yeah. So once legislation changes, RFK and his team, I work with a lot of high level politicians, senators, governors, a degree of separation from RFK, and Bobby seems like a very great person. So I'm excited to be able to sit with him and Governor Perry from Texas and whoever I can to get this message across. I've been talking to Senator Red Dawn from South Dakota about helping her tribe, the Black Hills. So once we affect these people first, then things will change, and then the big organizations can make a move because otherwise their hands are tied.
We'll snowball into it.
Yeah, it's got to start with helping people first before we can be selfish and do that sort of stuff.
With that, for you, as we kind of close, you are not into just healing, but helping transform. And can you give kind of your view on the difference between just recovery and actually just transforming in your eyes and what that means for you with your athletes, with the research you're doing?
This is a whole human overhaul. And I don't care where you grew up, what color you are, what religion. I work with everybody. I was just doing 5-MeO DMT on Cain Velasquez's ranch with a Muslim, who's our boss. I love this kid. And, or working with the Jews in Miami or whoever it is. Everyone needs this, and because they want to go to their own cultures and help them heal. Whatever God you pray to, make sure there's one. That's a really good start. Let's at least find it, because if you don't talk to God when you're on psychedelics, I don't know what to tell you. It's really hard to miss that point. And even people that have said that, like, how can you even believe in this? I'm like, you're mistaking God for religion. Because that's all that's been bastardized and used against us for a lot of reasons. And once we get there, then you give all these people the tools, because I'm kind of tired of talking. I've told my story in all the shows and TV and Forbes and whatever. Like, it's my job to steward the rest of these people, to teach them the harm prevention, to teach them the spirituality of different types and the psychology and all the different modalities that we have, all the different tools. We call them integration tools. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, if let's say, for instance, these athletes that just went through my study in Oregon, we've got Olympic gold medalists and world champions and all the different people. If any of them want to become a coach for my organization, they have to go through some certification, like let's say Being True to You or MAPS, to get certified. And these certifications, they mean something in psychedelics, but most people are like, this is weird. But it's they teach them everything from detox to rehab to sort of things to spirituality, to all the walks of this path. And they get certified, and then they can help coach the athletes that are going through it next. Because right now, all of our coaches are veterans. Because we took this model from the Heroic Hearts Project, which is like the best 501c3 in psychedelics. And I owe so much to them. They definitely saved my life. And, once we get them really moving and shaking, you see these athletes who are greats, certified and working, and just they're, I'm only going to pay them like $100. If they're going to an executive or something, because I don't have, our nonprofit doesn't have much money anyways. But eventually, when you get good enough, then executives will pay you $500 an hour. So someone told me that, I was like, why? $500 an hour? I was like, that's crazy. Okay, sure, thanks. So there's no real ceiling. The being a leader, being a person that's got a good moral compass and just in the right direction. This is a huge industry. This industry is only going to grow, and it's not just psychedelics, but it's all the life coaching and the other stuff that's tied along with it. So, and when you have a following of 1 million people will tune in and they'll start booking you. Yeah.
Is this a part of the McCall method? I know you've developed something called the McCall method. Is that been evolved into some of the courses you're describing, or helping athletes?
Yeah, that's my basically my list of people that I've worked with.
Okay.
And the labs that I work with, and the testing facilities or whatever it is, the companies, supplements I use. The understanding I had with the McCall method, my scientific for profit, I applied to the nonprofit, because athletes I heal for free. Most of them are broke. Most of them have no life skills outside of their sport. So that's my life's work right there. The other thing is because I need to eat. I need to survive.
You got bills to pay.
And I'm good at it. People will pay a lot of money for this. So it's, why not take advantage of it? For a while I was just kind of had it on the shelf. I got to be realistic. I'm trying to get married and have more kids and stuff, and take care of my current daughter as much as I can, and give her whatever she wants. Yeah. Because again, sports are expensive, and school, whatever it is. Kids are so expensive.
Yes.
So. Yeah, that's the long and the short of it. Is just having this understanding of it for the athletes, and then taking it to your everyday human who just wants to be better. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to, they're not trying to win any world titles or anything, but they're just trying to feel better, because life is hard and toxic in a lot of ways. So if we can help them clear all that, and most of the clients that I have are coming out of, let's say, Ibogaine or ayahuasca or a big mushroom trip, and they want to integrate after that. They want to just make a complete a turn into the direction of healing, and by that comes with biohacking.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. I mean, a lot of our audience are parents that have athletes. Can you give them some sort of recognition into some signs they should look for with, especially kids within wrestling or, MMA or UFC, contact sports, football, brain trauma, concussions, what signs to look for, how to help prevent and or start healing?
You should just take the jump to do it, to start the healing now. Why would you wait?
Because it's in contact sports, it's inevitable.
It's already happened. My eldest brother played football in college, and he's like, I would see a white flash every time I hit somebody. And every time that happens, that's a concussion. And you have kids that are getting concussed left and right. Usually the symptoms won't show up until later in life. But, you know, a crazy behavior, a kid's acting out more than usual, or sometimes you see an entire change in the kid's personality. Your kid has a TBI, or your kid has these issues. So we should jump on it right away. And those issues are anger or sometimes addictions at young ages. These little quirks, you know, that you can kind of pick up on, forgetfulness and or depression was a big one for me as a kid. So, you know, you should really take the initiative and start to do it before you even think anything happened. I mean, mushroom gummies, Lion's Mane gummies are like $50. You know, like you can afford $50 if you're going to have your kid play football.
Right. Just to have them start taking it.
One every morning. And your kid will have better school numbers. You know, your kid will actually perform better in school. Your kid will have better interactions with you. Like your kid won't be as much of a kid because kids are going to be crazy and act out no matter what. That's just what
That's the nature of children.
That's just children. So if you can just kind of, you know, drop the inflammation in their brains and their bodies a little bit, they won't have as much of an outburst, for instance.
Got you. No, that's really important. I mean, we've, you know, again, talking about how to just help our audience, you know, kind of guide in their you know, especially their kids' journey and through athletics. So supplements, sleep, you know, hydration, we talk about it all.
Sleep is number one.
Okay.
Sleep is number one. Hydration's huge, but not just water.
Right. Electrolytes,
BCAAs, and some of this stuff my daughter hates how much of it tastes, but get something they like, you know, even like, I mean, Prime apparently has stuff in it that's good.
Does it?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. You got to look that stuff up. I work with really expensive stuff, like, you know, or like the very focused on purist stuff. If you need something for a kid, you can get that. I'm just focused kind of on the healthiest possible. Maybe they don't taste the best. Right. But that's just because I'm an adult and my taste buds are dead. You know, so,
like I'm used to it.
I mean, my whole day is supplementation. There's Athletic Greens. There's the Vitality Mix from Brian Johnson. There's, you know, Gary Brecka's 10X stuff for BCAAs and caffeine and for electrolytes and Element, or it just goes on and on and on. Yeah. At night, I have this whole cocktail of stuff that I make. It's like 10 different things in one cup. And of course, it doesn't taste good.
Of course.
But it puts me to sleep. Like that. Psalm Sleep is a big one. My buddy runs that company. They make an amazing product for sleep. So whatever you can, whatever works for you, do it, because there's a bunch of different ways to feel better.
Sure. Yeah. Which is for us folks is just melatonin. You know what I mean? Just a little, you know.
There's research
melatonin
on,
gummy.
Both sides, that melatonin's good for you, it's not good for you. That stuff's always changing. Yeah. Obviously you shouldn't be doing everything every day. But magnesium is something you can do every day. Magnesium, like Calm, is like the big product. It's actually pretty delicious. And your body has to create so much magnesium in the first place to go to sleep. So would be the best sleep product that I can mention. And then if you want to add on the melatonins and GABAs and whatnot, Psalm Sleep is the next thing for sure.
Okay. Nice. I love that. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes, thank you.
I love it. Yes,
and thank you for the work that you're doing in general. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I think that we are... Well, I think the hope would be that we are trying to evolve as a society and find ways that are doing real healing work. I speak a lot about mental health stuff. For me, I'm not a current athlete, but, you know, we all are dealing with things with trauma, like we were talking about before we even started talking. And so finding healthier and more natural ways to combat some of those things and kind of regenerate ourselves, I think is really important. So I can really respect and appreciate the work that you and your team and everyone you work with is doing. And we appreciate you coming on the podcast to share a little bit about that.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's if anyone wants to, this is always the ask. Yeah. If anybody wants to donate, go to athletesjourneyhome.com.
Yes, we will have
there's a button 2/3 of the way down. You donate. I think you have to punch in the actual information. It won't just populate for some weird reason. But this research will go to help everybody.
There you go.
You know, it'll help every neurological disorder. It'll help your favorite athletes that gave everything for you, for glory. And yes, of course, they made money. Sometimes they made money. They got gold. They got fame, whatever. But that doesn't discount the fact that they're broken.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like I talk to whether they have money or they don't. I'm the one that deals with all their problems.
Yep.
Their wives are calling me, their friends are calling me, they're calling me, they're having schizophrenic breakdowns, they're addicted, they're doing all kinds of crazy things. And, these are our heroes. So if you can, please just give back, because most people go, athletes have money. Like, no, they don't. No,
not all
no,
of them.
no.
Exactly.
NFL, for instance, they actually made money. And like over 95% of athletes are broke before they leave the league.
Yep.
So if you're a fighter or you're a surfer or whatever, you probably didn't make that much
even
money.
then,
especially in comparison,
exactly.
right?
I didn't even get there.
You were fighting to live.
Yeah.
You were, competing so you could live, you pay your bills.
Yep.
So now you're left with nothing, and it sucks. So please help. And if you need peptides and all that sort of information, the McCall method, or just find me on Instagram. All those websites are being redone and
We'll
stuff.
have all of the handles.
Yeah. We'll have all your jams up there.
I check my weird file and messages and Instagram because I get a lot of business from them.
Yeah.
So we're open files. I love that for that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or Ian at athletesjourneyhome.com is a good one. Ian at the McCall method. There's a bunch of emails.
There you go. All the Ians.
Yeah.
Hit up Ians.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ian, for being here. We really do
this is
appreciate it. And,
Yeah.
Obviously we're here to support what you're trying to do.
Yes,
thank you.
So thank you guys, everyone. That's a wrap on Ian McCall. We will have all of his socials and handles, websites, donation information up for you guys somewhere on this screen. But also make sure you like, subscribe, share with an athlete, with a parent, with anyone you feel like is, going to be beneficial to hear this. We appreciate you for, sharing your story, your transparent story, and nothing else, your wisdom, your game. And we look forward to checking out the Ian method, the McCall method.
Yes, the McCall method.
Thank you.
That is Gloria. I'm Erica. Until next time.
Thank you guys so much.